Hello, the name's Alex, and welcome to my new series where I'm going to attempt to explain all the Pokemon TCG meta decks in no particular order. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Cynthia's Garchomp EX. This is a deck that is currently known for having a stupid amount of health and having a decently good matchup into the 40% meta share of Dragapult. Also, it mulligans a lot. I don't know if that's only me, but it does. Let's talk about the general makeup. So, you got your big beefy attacker, which is your Garchomp, you got your support, which is your Roserade, and you got your second attacker for late game wins, Spiritomb. You also have the very important item, Cynthia's Power Weight, which just gives all your Pokemon a 70 HP buff. It makes Garchomp EX one of the most annoying Pokemon to KO in the meta right now. Then, usually for special energies, you'll run a Rocky Energy to just absolutely stonewall Alakazam decks, and possibly other decks come in the future. Then you have your Ace Spec, which I've seen a couple. It can either be Secret Box, Unfair Stamp, or the Dragapult Energy. What's it called? Neo Upper Energy. Now I'm just going to quickly explain all the cards. So, first of all, you got your Garchomp. It has a 330 HP, an attack Corkscrew Dive, which is 100 damage, plus lets you draw cards and have 6 cards in your hand, which is quite simply amazing for the early game. You can, break your hand down to, 2 cards, and then Corkscrew Drive to 100 damage and have your whole hand back, though it can backfire significantly when you forget that you're fighting a Froslass deck. Then, you got Draconic Buster, his big attack, 260 damage, and discard all the energy from this Pokemon. The discard energy seems like it's a very dangerous thing, but it's not. And especially when you get Roserades, which we'll talk about really soon, it can one-shot a Venusaur if you got everything right. Next, let's just go to the Gabite. Do you guys know why Dragapult is one of the most powerful decks? It has a built-in draw engine in its stage 1. And Garchomp actually is similar. We have Cynthia's Gabite. 100 HP. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for Cynthia's Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hands and shuffle your deck. This is your setup. You can be Badooed, you can have nothing else in your hand but a Gabite, and you can still get set up. It's quite simply, I think, one of the most important cards in the deck. And, I try to use this even if I have a rare candy in my hand half the time. After that, we got Cynthia's Roserade. This is basically the reason why I think this deck is so good. It has the ability, attacks used by Cynthia's Pokemon do 30 more damage to opponent's active Pokemon. Quite simply, I've looked at a couple deck lists. Most tend to run 3 Roserades, so that's 90 extra damage on every attack that your Cynthia's Pokemon do. So, you got your Garchomp, you can draw 6 cards and do 190 damage. That's nearly just a Dragapult hit without the bench damage. Or 260 plus 90, that's 350 damage. That kills nearly everything except a Venusaur or any Caped Megas. Then lastly, the card I'm going to talk about last Pokemon I'm going to talk about, is Cynthia's Spiritomb. This one can be broken, but it is so situational. 70 HP, so you can bring it out with a buddy, and its attack does 10 damage for each damage counter on your bent Cynthia's Pokemon, which is quite simply broken for a Pokemon that usually has 400 HP. Actually, it's kind of funny. I was once doing a mirror match against another Garchomp. I got steamrolled by their Spiritomb after punching into 2 Garchomps with Draconic Buster. It destroyed me, and I couldn't do anything because I couldn't energize my Garchomps fast enough. And yeah, that's how I lost my mirror match, even though I had a freaking rare candy in going into second turn, and having a Garchomp already set up. Now let's go for the general what you're going to be using in the deck. Let's go with your tool first. This is very important that there's only one tool you should ever be running in this deck, Cynthia's Power Weight. This gives all your Cynthia's Pokemon just a flat 70 HP extra. And quite simply, broken. You got your Garchomp here, 330 HP, 70 HP with the Cynthia's Power Weight. Boom, 400 HP. Can get 2-shot by Dragapult still, but goddamn, it's going to have to try hard for that. Plus, free retreat on the Garchomp, you just go, whoop, got a second Garchomp up, you got 200 HP you can use for 200 damage counters you can use for your Spiritomb and just destroy the opponent. Then you can also power weight the Roserades, which is very situational, I'm going to say. If you're fighting certain decks that you get your the baby Roserade up, right? And usually I'll hit into my opponent, usually a Badoo with that, get a power weight on that, and some I think it's a Soul Rock can't one-shot it. Yeah, Cynthia's Roselia does 20 damage. If you have another Roserade on the bench, does 50 damage. That one-shots a Badoo. Also, you got a power weight on it. It can't get killed by a Soul Rock, and you can use it later in the game. Usually, you're gonna be running, I think, about 3 power weights in a deck. That's what I run, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, power weights, quite simply, only tool you need in the deck. Maybe you can have an air balloon if you have a Pheasantipity in the deck, though I personally don't recommend putting a Pheasantipity in your Garchomp deck. it just gets cluttered. Yeah, let's talk about the special energy here. Rocky Fighting Energy. This energy is also, like in a lot of things in this deck, it's very techy, very situational. But goddamn, you want to be using this. It allows you to it allows you to stonewall Alakazam. Alakazam, I have fought Alakazam without Rocky Energy in the deck. It's not fun. They're just gonna draw 20 cards, one-shot your Garchomp, and it's just like, with power weight and everything. And then you just lose because Garchomp has no, like, recovery options. That's one of the biggest gripes I have with the deck. If you lose a Garchomp early, you're kind of screwed. But yeah, Rocky Energy, it's basically just some missed energy for fighting type specifically, and it's pretty damn good. I run 4 in my deck personally. You could probably get away with running 3, but frankly, at a certain point, it just acts like a regular energy. So it's like, yeah, slap it onto a Garchomp and go, woo! Now I'm just going to talk quickly about like the Ace spec, which is pretty important mechanic in the TCG, all things considered. Personally, I run Unfair Stamp. Unfair Stamp is my personal Ace spec of choice for this. Though Neo Upper is another great choice because it means you can basically just get a fully energized Garchomp in a single turn, and like you could probably pull some really cool late game wins with that. But frankly, I don't like discarding an Ace spec like that easily. And I think the other Ace spec people will tend to run is Secret Box. I don't know if that's just an older Garchomp thing or not, but yeah, Secret Box just allows you to like discard 3 cards, I think, and you get a supporter, a stadium, a item, and a tool, which, quite broken. I used to play Gardevoir. It is amazing. But in Garchomp, I've never liked discarding cards in my Garchomp decks, which is why I no longer run Ultra Ball in it, because you kind of want all the cards. So yeah, Unfair Stamp can destroy your opponent. I've won games against like Zoroarks and stuff just by Unfair Stamping them at the end. Those are the important cards of the deck. That's what I'm going to say. Let's talk general strategy here. So first, you want to go first. Garchomp is good for evolving not quickly, but like it evolves pretty fast. You get a bunch of good bites down, and you have your entire setup done. Then, after you take your 50 mulligans, you want to go you get a Gibble and you get a Roselia in your hand. You place the Gibble out in the active spot is what I always do, and then put Roselia in the back, because yeah, you can power weight the Gibble and then evolve into Gabite and start setting up your board, and you can always get more Gibbles. Also, ideally, you have a Buddy Buddy, though personally I only run 2 Buddy Buddies because I run a very greedy deck, but I've seen a lot of the top decks, they'll generally run 4 Buddy Buddies. And you also, any Pokemon search, you use it then to get basically all your basics down. Then, whatever happens is probably going to be a Badoo, knowing this game. But then, on the next turn, you're going to want to try and get a Gabite. So, if you have a Lilies, if you're item locked, or if you have a Pokepad, if you're not, get a Gabite up, and then just get your entire bench put down. That is the most important part of this. Because then, once you get your whole bench, you can start putting Roserades down. I actually personally run Forest of Vitality in the deck, which might seem kind of odd, but if you're careful and don't play it when you're facing against a grass deck, you can just get full bench of Roserades and just destroy the opponent within minutes of starting the game, because yeah, you're doing at least 290 damage, if not more. Once you have your Garchomp set up, hopefully with power weights on them, I'd say run Petrol to get the power weights onto the Garchomp. You kind of just want to tank damage. That can be a tall ask, especially with a lot of grass decks being in the meta right now, but I'll explain later, it's not all lost. But yeah, if you want to take damage, and then I leave a space open, by the way, then you want to play down the Spiritomb. If you have 2 damaged Garchomps, and let's say they both got hit by Dragapult, right, for 400 damage, 400 damage in total, that Spiritomb is one-shotting anything that comes out except for a Caped Venusaur, but who the hell plays Caped Venusaur anymore? That's what I'd say the general, how you generally want to play it. But I'm going to now go into the specifics on how I would personally play against some of the top meta decks in the moment. Editing Alex here quickly, I just realized I completely forgot to show my own deck list. So here it is. It's what's the word? It's a very greedy deck. I only run a 3-3-3 Garchomp line, which most people look at me like I'm insane whenever I tell them that. Realistically, you want to be running a 4-4-3 line of Garchomp, but as I said, I'm greedy. I run Unfair Stamp. I have a 3-3 line of Roselias, 1 Spiritomb, 4 Rocky Energies, 3 Power Weights, Force of Vitality. Also, if you see me, the fact I'm running Team Rocket's Factory is because I didn't own Team Rocket's Watchtower, and I needed a card to fill out the deck. So there's my deck list. I'd say it's not the best, but it's what I bring to locals every week, so it's not the worst. So as it is, I'm just going to be talking about the top 10 decks on the limitless, meta game. Right? So I'm going to start with number 1 down. Also, I'm going to skip the grass decks until the end so I can explain more clearly those, because I actually have a decent amount of experience fighting grass decks with Garchomp, and I gotta say, it's generally not all lost. So 1, you got your Dragapult, 45% meta share Dragapult EX. This one is a tough match in general for nearly every deck, but Garchomp, it's tough, but it's definitely a lot more possible than some other decks, right? So basically, you want to quickly set up. You don't want to be getting Phantom Dives. They no longer play Dusknoir Dragapult anymore, which is a boon for you, right? Because it's very difficult for them to take out a whole Garchomp, and even if they did, the prize trade would be 2 for 2, and it's that's not that worth it, especially if the fully energized Garchomp can one-shot a Dragapult. Right? So, you want to get that set up quickly. Have a Garchomp in the active with a Power Wave as soon as possible. I'm pretty sure, looking at some of the decks, they no longer really run Jamming Tower, so that's on them, but Risky Ruins doesn't mean much to you because that's just Spiritomb fodder. You can just attack with Spiritomb by the end of the game, because what are they going to do? Put more damage counters on your Garchomp? They have to put damage counters on somewhere, so they're probably going to aim for your Roserades, but simply put, those are you can get it back. Also, you should be running at least 2-3 Premium Power Pros. Those are non-negotiable. Put them in your deck. It makes it so your opponent can't figure out what the hell you're doing. Yes, with Dragapult, it doesn't matter too much. The damage counters just give you more attack power late game, and it's a bit of a struggle to try and take down your Garchomp. So if you're scared of Dragapults and you don't want to play Dragapults because you're a normal person, play Garchomp. That would be my suggestion. Now let's look at Crustle. This one's actually an interesting one because I haven't played it too much, but I just thinking about it for more than a couple seconds. This would be very simple. So, they bring out a Crustle, right? Does 120 damage for weakness on your Garchomp. But you have the advantage here of they have 3 energies to energize, while you only have 1. And you're thinking, wait, how am I going to kill the Crustle with the Garchomp? That's the fun part. You don't. You kill the Crustle with Gabites. So quite simply, you bring up your Gabites. It's 1 energy for 40 damage. But with 2 Roserades, that's 100 damage. You can quite easily just start taking out Crustles that way for 2 turns, and they can't energize fast enough. Then, if they bring out an Ogerpon, you bring up a Garchomp. As simple as that. You evolve your Gabite into Garchomp, and then the Ogerpon is 210 health. So you'd want either 2 Draconic Buster, or you'd want 3 Roserades and a Premium Power Pro. One shot's the Ogerpon, because Ogerpon is just abilities, Garchomp has no abilities. And then, if they bring out a Crustle, remember, Garchomp only has a single retreat cost, and just retreat it. I still think this would be a harder matchup than it would be against Dragapult, but I believe in you people. I believe in you. You can do this. Next is Raging Bolt, which, how the hell is this 3rd in the meta? But, I'm just going to talk about this anyways. This one's a hard matchup. I remember playing Raging Bolt before, rotation, against it. This one's But yeah, you got your Ogerpons, which I'm pretty sure is just get energy so they can Raging Bolt you. And then if I just quickly do the math here, right? 400 divided by 70. It would only take 5 energies for them to one-shot you, which is not a lot. And although they don't have their main support anymore, with Sawdust Vitality to quickly energize shit, it's difficult for them, right? So they can most get 2 energies per turn, I think. Depends if they have Crispin, then they can get 3. But it's kind of the same thing with Dragapult. Damage counters only make you stronger. And yeah, you want to hit into, what would I say to hit in? Probably if they have a Kangaskhan out, try to boss up a Kangaskhan. If they have a Fezandipity, same thing. Or even a Meowth. Meowth, Kangaskhan, and Fezandipity are all weak to fighting types. And those are just all easy prize cards. And simply put, once you start taking prize cards, Garchomp can win prize races pretty easily, right? So yeah, you're gonna want to just take out those as fast as possible. Do they play? Yeah, they play Area 0 a lot of the time. You can take advantage of that, but you also have your own stadiums. So just try and get rid of the area zeros, because then they have less energy they can play around with. And yeah, I think that would be the thing with Raging Bolt. It's a similar setup. Garchomp's very simple. You get your Rose Raids up, and you can hit anything for murder. Oh, Cynthia's Garchomp EX. How to fight Cynthia's Garchomp EX? First of all, go first. You want to go first? Against a Garchomp, you want to just get a rare candy as fast as possible, get another Garchomp out. And then be very careful. Do not hit into their Garchomps unless you can kill. Like, maybe if you want to be a bit fun, run a Tool Scrapper in your own deck so you can kill other Garchomps easier, like Shark on Shark Violence. And like most Garchomp decks are very similar. I don't think many people run Pheasantipede anymore. They're looking at some of the new top decks. They run Relicanth now, which is interesting. I'll give it that. I personally don't think I'm going to be running it, but yeah, you'll want that. Garchomps just want to be fast in the other Garchomp and start taking prize cards, because as I said earlier, Garchomp sucks at recovery, especially with like the lack of recovery cards now. Though Special Red card is coming out. If you don't already have them from the pre-release, Chaos Rising is releasing, I think, June 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, just get your red cards, place one in Garchomp, maybe in place of a Judge if you're running Judge. And yeah, do that. And if you have a special red card, you can possibly even run a different A-Spec to Unfair Stamp, although I will still be running Unfair Stamp. Ooh, and Alakazam is next. This one is a scary matchup for any deck, though Garchomp has recently gotten the Rocky Fighting Energy, which is, quite simply, the Alakazam counter. This deck is the reason I run 4 Rocky Fighting Energies. So, Alakazam tends to run about 2 to 3 enhanced hammers. Enhanced hammers. It's gonna try and remove your special energy as much as possible. Don't let them. If you go to a locals and a lot of people run Alakazams there, run a 0-6 in your deck. Like, seriously, it will just make them cry. They will die inside. They will see all their cards leaving their hand into their discard, and they will not know what to do because they're never prepared for the 0-6. But realistically, you're not running a 0-6 because you're just playing online, or your locals only has like one Alakazam person who only brings it like half the time. But yeah, so 4 Rocky Energies, though I will say, be careful. They can retreat lock you and just mill you out of your deck, and that is a scary prospect. So, like, attach sparingly and never discard the Rocky Energies. You want those to stay in play as long as possible. Your rest of your energies you can usually get back from Night Stretcher, and also if you're running Tarragon, which is probably a smart thing to run. I just don't own one, so I don't actually have it in my deck. But yeah, everything else is you can get back. You cannot get back your Rocky Energies. And for this, I'd say if they bring out a Pheasantipede, target that immediately. That's 2 prizes. One of the reasons Alakazam is so good is because it's a single prizer. So like you kill one Alakazam, they kill one EX, and suddenly they're winning the prize race still. But yeah, if they bring out a Pheasantipede, kill that immediately. The Dunsparces, same with that, although really you're never going to see the Dunsparce on the field. It's always going to be Dunsparce and then into the deck, and then suddenly your opponent's going to have their entire deck drawn, even though you just unfair stamped them last turn. And then, yeah, just target the Alakazams. They do have a resistance, annoyingly, to Garchomp, but frankly, with 2 Rosa Raids, you're doing pretty good. If you have all 3 up, you just destroy it. You have just 1. Yeah, then just like be smart about it, be smart about your energy conservation, and you can probably destroy them pretty easily. And Zoroark, this one, it's very inconsistent. I usually win against Zoroark because of my opponent misplaying, because it's a very hard deck to run, and I am not looking forward to have to try and review this deck and like explain how it works, because I barely know how it runs already. I barely know how my own deck runs. I run Garchomp, the simplest deck there is right now. But quite simply, what I've noticed, Zekrom cannot one-shot a Garchomp, so you want to be very careful here. If they fill up their bench and they don't have space for a Pokemon, like let's say a Reshiram, make sure you take out that Zoroark. It has to be gone. You do not want a Zoroark with damage counters running around, because then it just you'll kill another Pokemon, and then they'll get a Reshiram down, and then they'll suddenly do like 5 million damage to you, and you're dead. So yeah, you want to be very careful about Zoroark and like the Reshirams. I tend to swing into the Zoroarks for the kill. So for Zoroark, you just need 1 Rose Raid with Draconic Buster. Try and get 2 Garchomp set up at the same time to kill that. Because Zoroark has the same thing as Alakazam, where it can literally just draw its entire deck back, so Unfair Step does nothing, Red Card's going to do nothing, it's Zoroark, it's going to have an entire hand. They like to play around with damage counters and some poison as well, so they can like Binding Mochi Black Belt's training. I once beat a Zoroark deck. I had a single Garchomp left. It was at like I think 300 damage on it. It had the power weight, so they could have killed me, I think. But I think I took out their Zekrom. I did, and they had killed my entire bench because they had Darmanitan, which did like 90 damage to the bench, and I nearly placed a basic down on the bench because like my brain goes, hey, you need to have more basics on the bench to kill, and then suddenly it's like, oh no, they're gonna kill that. They had already used a Black Belt training on me, so they were quite literally, I think, 10 damage short from the kill. And yeah, I killed them. I think I got was it 4-1 at that locals? Yeah, it was 4-1 at that locals. And yeah, I'd say Zoroark is a very tricky deck to fight, though it's very tricky for the opponent as well. They are struggling to think because this deck has a lot of thought in it, and oftentimes it's just not going to do it well for them. Now let's go to the next deck, Lucario. This is a deck that I'd say is simply on par with Garchomp with how simple it is. You just want to get your Solrock Lunatone down, get your Lucarios up, and just draw, attach, because it has a very similar kind of attack to Garchomp. You got your Ordrab, where it does 130 damage and attaches 3 basic fighting energies from your discard to your bench, which is great. Like, it's a really good attack. It does 130 damage for that as well. And like, yeah, it's a mega. It's 3 prizes. Of course, they're going to make it a bit better, but yeah, you can do that. So they'll usually, if they're doing really good, they're going to have 2 Lucarios completely ready to run. Probably have Air Balloon on them as well, so they can like basically pull a Garchomp. And Mega Brave, it allows it basically just do 270 damage straight. You can like is Power Weight? No, not the Power Pro. And yeah, you just destroy the Lucario. They destroy you for like 300 damage. They're going to try and one-shot you like you're going to try and one-shot them. It's not the scariest deck, I'm going to say. It's a very simple deck which you can pretty easily outmaneuver. And like 340 damage, that is 3 Roserades or 2 Roserades, Power Pro, yeah, yada yada yada, you know what I mean. And then it's 3 prize cards and you're already winning. Like 3 prizes, that's why I don't particularly like playing with Megas. I just think 3 prizes is too much. But yeah, that's pretty simple, simpler than Garchomp, frankly. Then there's Mega Starmie. I don't have the most about this deck. I have a friend who plays it, and it's scary. Like, at the start of the game, if they get set up, you're dead. You lose. But if, like, mid-game, as long as you're careful not to accidentally get, like, a hand of 5 cards for Frostlass, I'm pretty sure that's enough to kill. 400 divided by 50. Okay, if you have 8 cards in your hand, a Frostlass can one-shot you. Easy. But you're not going to let that happen. It's Garchomp. You don't even have to draw the 6 cards if you don't want to. I'm pretty sure if you want to draw, you have to draw up to 6, but if not, it's fine. So yeah, if you have a power-weighted Garchomp, you're going to be fine. But they also run Wallace Compassion, which is just an annoying card. No one likes fighting Wallace Compassion, but it's good. It's going to happen anyways. 330, you can take that out with 3 Roserades again. I'd say probably target the Meowth, target the Megas. The Monkey Dories are fine. It's just playing around with damage counters, but it still can be a bit deadly. I might have it in my B-roll, I might not, where I get destroyed by a Grimmsnarl deck who I wasn't paying too much attention to. So yeah. Now, let's talk about the 3 like elephants in the room. Team Rocket's Mewtwo, which I think is just Mewtwo being Gen 1 Pokemon stealing all the fame, because everyone knows the true working girls of this deck is Spidops. Team Rocket's Spidops is a hard deck to beat as a Garchomp player. Simply put, their Spidops is their main attacker, and they can do 30 damage to each Team Rocket's Pokemon in play. So that's 6. 30 times 6 is 180. 180 times 2 is enough to kill an unbanded, unpower-weighted Garchomp, I think. It's 180 times 2. Yeah, 306 damage. That is a scary attack, especially if they manage to do any like 40 damage to your Garchomp earlier. But not all hope is lost in this deck. What you're going to want to do, this is what I do, boss up their Mewtwo. That thing has 3 retreat costs. It is a to retreat, and simply put, you as like the Chad Garchomp player, even though it has a resistance to you, it's not hard to one-shot that Ritu. Once you one-shot that, it's 2 prize cards. And that's not the only thing, right? The general strategy I say with Spidops is do not let them get any energy in the discard. Like, they'll run Ultra Ball and stuff, but they'll manage to get their own energy in. But if you see a Spidops with 2 energy on it, try to play around it instead of kill it. Because once you kill that Spidops, it is so easy to get another Spidops up. So if they have 2 Spidopses that they can easily energize, just go and kill them. But if they have like a Spidops and a Tarantula, it's going to be pretty hard to kill. And that's what I'm going to say. Just aim for the Spidopses, try and boss up things they can. Like, if they misplay really hard, put down a Clefairy, or if they start with a Clefairy, that's a good kill for you. Just easy 2 prizes. And yeah, Team Rocket Spidops, as the same thing with Alakazam and even Festivalies, is very difficult because it's a single prize deck at its core. And yeah, you're going to have some struggle with it. But it is not unwinnable. I have defeated Garchomp. Like, once I was playing in the locals, I was playing a Team Rocket Spidops deck, and oh my god, the person fighting me was so annoyed because it was supposed to be their match. I just remember them sitting there looking through their deck, trying to make sure they had the way to win, and I was sitting there busting to go to the toilet. So I was just sitting there like, come on, come on, come on. I've already won. Draw top deck of boss's orders, break out their Mewtwo, win the game, then immediately run away to go. That was pretty fun. Like, I'd say it's a hard deck, but you can definitely beat it, especially if your opponent doesn't fully know what they're doing. Then we're going to do Ogerpon Meganium. Another deck, very difficult to beat. And I gotta say, it's just goddamn difficult. What I'd do, right, it depends on the type they're running. Are they running Arbavilla or are they running Venusaur? If they're running Venusaur, target down the Venusaur. It's once they can't move energy around, they're screwed. Then target their Ogerpons because like they've probably moved all their energy to their Venusaur, all things considered, if they're attacking you. And yeah, you just take out their Venusaur, take out their Ogerpons, you've won. If they're playing the Arbavilla version, that one's a bit more difficult. I've played these ones IRL before. So, your saving grace, Arbavilla, its first attack, 1, isn't effective in attack, so Rocky Fighting Energy can block it. But 2, it doesn't hit for weakness, so it just does 160 damage, which, as you know, is Spiritomb fodder. And you just kill, kill, kill. Yeah, if they bring out their Ogerpon, you're a bit more screwed. I tend to tie against this. And plus, they run Force of Vitality. And yeah, that's pretty good for you as well, because you get Roserai's turn 1. Now for the last deck, top deck in the meta, and I'm not... this is the only deck I would consider just an auto loss out of any deck, which is Festival Leads. This deck is something else. The double attack for like... how much damage does it actually do? 20 for each bench Pokemon, so that's 5 times 2 is 10. 400 damage a hit. That just one-shots your power to Garchomp. And it's a single prize deck, so you'd have to take out a lot. Your main strategy here is hope to get lucky. It's not impossible. It's definitely not impossible. Maybe just if you run only goodbyes, and if you're really scared of this deck, run a Terragon or 2, just to make sure you can like get everything back from the discard, because they're going to destroy you. Also, make sure to remove that stadium. They run 4 because it's the Festival Leads deck, obviously. But yeah, it's very hard, but not impossible. Well then, that's the end of my rambling about my current favorite deck, and I really hope you liked this. I'm planning to do it for each deck in the meta, like in the top meta, that in like no particular order that I just find interesting. I think I'm gonna do I'm gonna try and play the decks as much as possible on live to see what I can do. And if I did this correctly, I should have some like live action bits in this video, because I physically own all the cards for Garchomp, so I can mess around and like do some jokes and show you what is up. But I think that yeah, this is probably it's a very solid deck for the current meta, and I hope more people end up playing it. I hope more people play more of the decks as well, because Dragapult EX is currently holding one hell of a meta share. I think that's just because we're early in the rotation still, and people are scared, so they're going to keep running Dragapult. Plus, we lose Dragapult next year. It's going to be a great day for all Pokemon players, but then I feel like something else is just going to take its place. But yeah, Cynthia's Garchomp, solid deck, good matchups into a lot of things. As grass decks can be very difficult, but it's not all lost. You can still win against them. And yeah, thanks. thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far, and bye!